Thank you so much, Dr. Grace. We are in a good place now, in front, and we know that God is with us. I want to introduce our guest. Thank you so very much. Our chief guest, Dr. Dakota Salim Idris. Very much welcome. Our chair to the council, Professor Serem, our VC, Professor Motembe, our DVCs who are seated right here, Professor Nduru, Professor Gidai, also from the office of the PS, Dr. Mburu, you are welcome. Thank you, Professor Singer and Professor Jones Agwata. Thank you for being our guest this morning. Chuka University, I want to recognize all of you, colleagues, exhibitors, distinguished guests. We have quite a number here. Good morning once again. We are going to disrupt a bit, like tweak the program a bit because of time. And what I'm saying is that the program that is in your book of abstracts or the final program that you have printed, because our guest is quite busy, and he has to run back to Nairobi. Our guest today is Principal Secretary, State Department for Cabinet Affairs. I say it again. Principal Secretary, State Department of Cabinet Affairs, Dr. Idris Salim Dakota. And so because of the other issues that he has to handle in Nairobi, we are going to tweak, instead of the session starting with the way we had planned with the discussions and all that, we are going to have that after he has launched the conference and we have taken the photo, then we'll come back to proceed with this, with the sessions that way. I don't want to talk so much. I am Shemid Wanja Munyere, Professor of Agronomy, current Director, Research and Extension, and I'm happy to welcome you to Chuka. Thank you so very much for being with us. At this moment, I want to welcome Dr. Shege. Sorry about rushing the program because of the way we are at the time. Dr. Shege, our Registrar Academics, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director. Let's clap for her. Na hiyo clap iko aje? Tumklapie vizuri moja. Asanteni sana. Thank you so much. Our PS, Dr. Idrisi Salim Dakota, our Chairman of Council, our VC, our invited guests, our DVCs, the Senate, the management. Good morning. Good morning. God is good and all the time because that is His nature. Thank you so much. I don't want to take a lot of time, but I want to say we are blessed. Chuka University is a blessed university. It's a prophetic university. And we honor God in everything that we do. I want to invite my counterpart, the registrar, to come and say hi. I invite our DVC. Karibu.
Thank you so much. Our chief guest, Dr. Idris, Chair of Council, our Vice Chancellor, all invited guests, exhibitors and researchers, good morning.
Good morning.
Are we there?
Yes.
Can I see your hands?
Yes.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. Research is the panacea of all high institutions. And being where researchers are is a place you need to be all the time. The theme is Entrepreneurial Research Training and Approach for Socio-Economic Empowerment. Let's think research, let's think entrepreneurship, let's think socio-economic empowerment. Thank you. At this point, I wish to humbly invite the Acting Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration, Planning, Finance and Development, Professor Gidai, to talk to us. Karibu, Prof. A clap as she comes. Thank you.
Our PS, Dr. Idris Salim, of the State Department of Cabinet Affairs, our Chair of Council, Professor David Serem, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Henry Motembe, our DVC, in charge of academics, Professor Nduru, all the distinguished guests who are here with us, and all participants, good morning.
Good morning.
God is good,
All the time.
and all the time.
God is good.
My name is Eunice Wamoyo Gidai, and I'm the Acting Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of 4 areas: administration, finance, planning, and development. So my work here today, as I stand here, is to welcome you to Chuka University,
to feel at home. Wherever you are seated, make sure that you are comfortable, but don't sleep. Make sure you have a cup of tea during break time. Make sure you have a lunch, because all that is in my area, together with the registrar, administration and planning. So the theme of this conference on entrepreneurial for socio-economic empowerment, we cannot do without it. We cannot do without our entrepreneurial minds. We know what is happening today. We know what is happening to the budget of today. We know what is happening to the foods, to our salaries, to our income. So we cannot survive not unless we open our minds to be entrepreneurial. So that as we survive, we also improve our livelihoods and our economy and our community, isn't it? So with those few remarks, because we'll be interacting later, I have a keynote speech with you. I would like to invite the Deputy Vice Chancellor in charge of academics to come and give his brief remarks. Thank you so much, and you're welcome.
Thank you, DVC. Our guest of honor, PS, Dr. Idrisi, our Chairman of Council, Professor Serem, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Mutembei, our distinguished guests invited, my colleague, DVC, Professor Gedai, registrars, deans, directors, GODs, all participants, students, and everybody, all protocols observed. I greet you in Jesus' name. Bwana sifiwe. Muko salama. Yeah, this is a wonderful day that God has made, that we be here. And graciously, we are blessed with life, enjoying good health, and we are strong. I pray that God will give us a very wonderful time as we start this conference, that we will proceed unto the very end and end well. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to Chuka University. I am Professor Gilbert Mbaka Nduru by name. I am the acting Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic, Student Affairs, and also Research. And one of the areas there associated with research is extension, or other communication. One thing that we know is that when we do research, we are not expected to keep that knowledge in the shelves, but also need to communicate the same so that this knowledge that we gather can be of value to many others that may receive it. And this way of conferencing is one aspect or one strategy of communicating research findings and be able to empower others out there with the knowledge that we have gathered through research. It is also a moment of coming together to be able to listen to each other and to grow the knowledge and concepts and principles we've gathered so that we may become better scientists, better researchers for the future. It is therefore a very integral activity of a university, and we all together be able to participate. And so I want to welcome all of you to feel part and parcel of this process, to feel welcomed, and I pray that God will empower you so that your contributions will go a long way in enhancing knowledge and also skills amongst you, one of us. Take this time as you're here to network with each other and to build collaborations so that we are able to enhance even our ability to do more research and also to conference and do other activities into the future. With these few remarks, I would want to say this being one of the mandate of the university, kindly participate in it in a manner that Chuka University will actually go into the global map as a center of excellence in research so that we are recognized for a state-of-the-art research through our communications. May God bless you as you participate in this conference. I would want to take this opportunity, therefore, to humbly invite our Vice Chancellor to come and grace this occasion and as well do the other protocol issues with our guests and others. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Can we clap for our DVC? the Principal Secretary in charge of Cabinet Affairs, Dr. Idris Dakota, our Chair of the Council, Professor David Salem, our guest speakers from US, from Machakos University, Dr. Agwata, the senators, the management that is around, and all the staff, and our guests who submitted abstracts for this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Allow me, before I read my speech, a bit to tell people, just relax and feel. The conference is not a funeral, isn't it? It is not that we are coming to read eulogy here. You should be very happy. Actually, it's a forum where you come and use your mind to critique positively, isn't it?
Yes.
And also try to find some solutions to an existing problem, isn't it? So let us be happy. Let us say this is the day the Lord has made it for us to be able to solve some society problem, isn't it? Again, it is good to recognize the organizers, and I would like all of them to stand up. The board that organized these events, led by the Director of Research, and we shout good one for them. Can we clap for them? Thank you very much. I'm aware there are very many abstracts that will be canvassed during these 2 days. And Mr. Pierce, Dr. Pierce, he's a PhD holder. Allow me to say and thank Dr. Chege. They met with the Pierce when they were studying PhD in China. So Dr. Chege is the one who has brought his former, I think you went there when he was living, isn't it? Or something like that's what he told me. And therefore, it's a confession that you actually went to study. Some of us might not have classmates or people who can confess they saw them studying, isn't it? Makofi kwa Chege. So this is a good gesture, and also allow me to say I've worked with the time he was Dr. Agwata. We were together in Wangaribadha Institute. So I am also honored that I can also confess he has a scholarly excellence. So it is my great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome all of you to the 11th Chuka University International Research Conference. I am particularly honored to see such a diverse gathering of brilliant minds. That is what it is, brilliant minds. All brought together by a shared commitment to innovate, to collaborate, and to advance knowledge. That is why we are here. And therefore, all of us here today are equal scientists, isn't it? Equal. They are young, upcoming, but they are also equal participants, isn't it? That is how it should be. This annual gathering of scholars, researchers, and industry practitioners is a cornerstone of our academic calendar. We normally have it around October, the same time. And your presence here signifies a collective drive to push the boundaries of research and its application in shaping a better world. The theme of this year's conference is Entrepreneurial Research, Training and Enterprise Approaches for Socio-Economic Empowerment. This means we must come up with something that is a solution to an existing society problem. It is not only timely, but is also crucial in addressing the pressing challenges of our time. We live in a world that is increasingly interconnected, and therefore we should be able to get solutions that are global. But this interconnection, it is actually grappling with complex issues such as unemployment, economic inequality, climate change, and technological disruption, which is taking place today. We live in an era where traditional roles of education and research are evolving. Today, research is no longer confined to theory, but must be applied impactfully and geared towards a real-world problem solving. Chuka University has always prided herself on being at the forefront of entrepreneurial thinking and innovation. This conference is a testimony to our excellence towards research. And it gives us an opportunity to utilize our academia mind to connect it with industry and eventually give an entrepreneurial solution. So it is important for us to interrogate, do critical thinking during our 2 days here. Ladies and gentlemen, the thematic areas of this conference are very relevant to today's problems. One, we have science, engineering, and technology that is leveraging on technological advances in the education system. Some of us will be presenting papers in this area, and therefore they will be giving us a pace of thinking in that area. The next one is climate justice, agriculture, environment, and health. This is a nexus of the natural issues that are affecting agriculture, environment, and health that is intertwined with the climate justice, and therefore we expect to hear some papers in those areas that is going to contribute towards the solutions in the problems that are being expressed in those areas. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge all of us to participate and to engage. Don't participate, also engage. When questions are thrown to you, don't take it personally. It is supposed to improve your own research, especially for the ones who are coming to present for the first time. Don't worry even if the pointer is doing like this. It was doing like that even for the professors for the first time. Isn't it, Prof? So encourage them. Don't make them shake. Don't feel challenged. And the solutions we seek to provide for the charities should be packaged in a way that probably even for the youngsters, it can start as a concept that is being tested, then it becomes an innovation that is patentable for the betterment of that scientist presenting. Before I close, allow me to, in a particular way, also recognize the donors who has enabled us to have this conference. There is a particular person who has been personally sponsoring our scientific conference, and even this year, he gave us 1 million for this conference. This particular person, it is the Deputy President nominee and the Interior Cabinet Secretary currently, Professor Honorable Kithure Kindiki. We should clap for him. Last year he gave us 500,000, this year he has given us 1 million. That is something that we don't take for granted. PS, you are the one who mixes with them in the cabinet. As we are a lot of people here, when we go there, say we have said thank you. We have also been sponsored by Equity Bank. We have also been sponsored by NRF, the National Research Fund. We have also been given resources by our own circle here. And These are the donors that have enabled us to assemble here today. Can we have a round of clap for them? And I want to confess, this year I wanted, and the Eagles group, is it? Yes, thank you. Yeah, this year I wanted to push my director from behind so that I'm not sticking in the front, so that she can also sharpen her resource mobilization skills. And I am happy she was able to do that. Can we clap for her? She's the main mobilizer, so that is very good. And PS, Chuka University is a university that is young, and we have committed. With those very many remarks, allow me to welcome the chairman of the council, Professor David Salem, to give his remarks, and then welcome the principal secretary, cabinet affairs. Makofi kwa chairman as he comes. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, Bwana VC. Yeah, the PS, the Cabinet Affairs, Dr. Idris Dakota, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Mtevei, the Deputy Vice Chancellors, the Senators, all invited guests to be able to address us in this very, very important conference. Participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
Yeah, let me take this opportunity to welcome our PS who has graced this very, very important occasion to Chuka University. Welcome, Bwana PS. I think it's a privilege to have him with us this morning. I want to say that in a university, the function of research is very, very important, because apart from teaching and community service, research is very, very, very important. So I'm glad as the chair of council to be associated with Chuka University, because it has taken research as one of its very, very, very important mandates. So for me, I really want to encourage all of us to participate without fear in the next 2 days. Yeah, Bwana Vice Chancellor, next time, I think let's make this conference 3 days, because 2 days is too short. Before you know it is finished, it's done, and you are ready to go. So, and yet it is very important, because I know there are many issues that are going to be discussed in this conference, and therefore there are going to be recommendations, and those recommendations, Vice Chancellor, I hope they will be made to make our society even better. Conferences, especially this one, are very, very, very important, because you know the world we are living today, participants, is become very complicated. So we need to collaborate together. Collaboration is the key, so that we can share the knowledge, we can share through research, and be able to make recommendations that can make our world a better place to live in. So for me, Vice Chancellor, I'm a professor of education. And you know, a professor in a university, there's no other place where you can go again when you're a professor, especially a full professor. So the only place I can go is the ceiling, and the ceiling is very dangerous. So I am here to encourage all of us to participate in research. I am glad that I got the opportunity to be a member of council of this great university, and particularly so the chairman. So the issue you have already published. So you can only publish, and I'm glad that we have a journal for this university, and I will look forward, Vice Chancellor, that the findings of this research today, I mean this international conference, are published in our channel. So let's build our journal, because we can only build it through international conference like this one. So I don't want to take a lot of time talking. I didn't even prepare a speech. I didn't know I was going to say something, but I've just said something that has come from my heart, the way I feel. I feel that let us work together and build our research base through it. Thank you again for giving me this attention this morning, and it is now my pleasure to welcome our peers to come and address us. Welcome, our peers. Thank you.
Chair, Chuka University Council, Professor Cerem, Vice Chancellor Professor Henry Mtembei, Acting Vice Chancellor Academic Research and Student Affairs Professor Gilbert Nduru, Acting DVC Administration Finance and Planning Professor Eunice Gilai, members of the Senate, Chuka University academic staff, academic and support staff, MDs represented, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be part of this conference. I wish I could stay here for the next 2 days. I'm told it's running for 2 days, but so unfortunate that exigence of work is actually pushing us back to Nairobi. But I would have loved to be part and parcel of this for the next 2 days. Next 2 days, but it hasn't happened. We'll do it maybe next year. With once I got this invitation, and when Dr. Chege brought it to my desk, you know, he came in person and delivered the invitation, so I had no way of saying no. Truth is a testimony that Chege here, we were with him in Beijing 5 years ago, together with my peers.
Edna.
Oh, Edna, you're here. Sukuli Musalimia, you look at Yes. Edna, she left, I think, I found her when I was doing my master's. I think she was in her third year. So by the time I came back for PhD, she was on her way out. But Chege is our junior. So Dr. Chege tupata huko. Thank you. I'm delighted to be here at Chuka University. It's my first time to be in Chuka at Chuka Town as well as Chuka University. So I think this conference has given me a chance to actually visit this part of Kenya. It is a great privilege and honor to be here today and be part of this University's 11th International Research Conference. I am informed that this conference has brought together scholars, researchers, exhibitors, entrepreneurs, among others. So indeed, looking at the theme of this research, entrepreneurial research, training, and enterprise approaches for socio-economic empowerment, this theme resonates well with all facets of development in this country. The theme of the research in simple terms talks about research and development, which is a central pillar and practical prerequisite for social emancipation of societies that intertwines. The intertwining that comes and convergence of research and development that talks about or gives an example of a chicken and an egg. So which comes first between the two? So, and what drives the other? Looking at it, we have a global discourse that calls for research efforts that have entrepreneurial outlook, which will guarantee interventions that are aimed at job creation, income generation, climate effects mitigation, and adaptation and sustainable livelihoods for a just, cohesive, and prosperous Kenya. The Vision 2030 recognizes Kenya's main potential that lies in its people, and you are the people, and we are the people, isn't it? Yeah. So this talks about our entrepreneurial skills, our innovation skills, which is in line with the theme of this conference. So the conference is timely and well aligned to the goals of the nation. We have these three thematic phenomena where entrepreneurial, research, training, and enterprise that makes an interconnected trinity whose manifestations are associated to positive socio-economic outcomes. Entrepreneurial research also explores the convergence of enterprise theories, ideologies, and institutions, and their significance on economic growth. It also assesses channels of transmissions of socio-economic benefits. On the other hand, the training provides the art and science of entrepreneurship and its manifestation on macroeconomic fundamentals. But at the same time, developing the building blocks for enterprise and institutions associated with itself. I must admit that the thematic choice resonates with the social economic expectations of not only Kenyans, but the global societies. Enterprise development and training also is the core pillar of the current administrations from across the globe. Not only here, just from across the globe, so that you can blend and come up with conclusive points. It also showcases approaches to entrepreneurial and research on environmental management and climate justice, disseminating research findings and innovations for socio-economic transformation, policy development, and building partnerships in education, research, and development. I understand that the university has been at the forefront in contributing to global, regional, and local socio-economic development solutions. Because being this the 11th, it means there are a number of conferences that you have done, which actually aligns this university to seeking collaboration and partnerships, which enhances resource mobilization and technical capacity that will promote research and entrepreneurship and enterprise. Actually, to provide us with a communique that will anchor the outcomes of this conference as the foundation for improved livelihoods for the communities in this country and the world in general. So ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I am optimistic that the conference will contribute to the success of re-engineer entrepreneurial research, discourse for socio-economic empowerment, and for the development of our nation. So these very many remarks I want to say, and I want to wish us all fruitful deliberations as we focus on the next phase of this conference. Thank you and stay blessed. Thank you. I think it's my humble duty to declare this conference open.
Thank you very much.
Our regular place, and there is a banner for the 11th conference. For the guests, I didn't give you the geography of this place. Right outside this door, that is where you can visit the washrooms. And later, after we have said we have tweaked this, probably because the tea is already brought, depending on time, we could have tea after the photo streak for tea, 20 minutes, then we come back, because our discussions, our keynote speakers are here, and the panel discussions, so we continue from there. So for now, I will request, of course, you let us and our guests meet, our VC with leaders. We go to second floor, have a group photo, and then immediately we go for tea. Our guests, again, you will retreat back to the VC's boardroom, and after that we come back. We start here now, our program was starting. We have Edna, who is Dr. Edna To, who is actually giving us a talk on AI, and our DVCs, both of them have keynotes. So let us all tushangamkie hiyo, and I think I will pray for tea. Oh, okay, before we go for the picture and then the tea immediately. Lord, we thank you for the fact that you brought us. We've really seen your presence. We thank you for the gift of what we are about to partake. Lord, we need to nourish us. And Heavenly Father, we also thank you so much for the guest. Goes back to Nairobi and the work that he has. We pray that Lord Jesus will guide him and give all of them safe travel back to Nairobi. Heavenly Father, we also just pray that you're going to be with us through the conference, and it's in Jesus' name we do pray and give thanks. Amen. So thank you so much. Our guests first. You let our guests come first, then we follow.
Positively or negatively? We are going to see about that. So technology has impacted very many things in our lives, and education is not exceptional. I want to start by giving an example or a scenario that I want you to think about. Maybe you experience it every day as you go to class. Here, there is a lecturer who stands at a podium in front of a room, like me here, while the students sit in rows, like you, and listening. Some of the students have books open in front of them, like some of you, and appear to be following my speech. They appear to be following my lesson. Some, they might look like they are with you. Okay? They are phones searching for information, but unfortunately, they're in WhatsApp, they're in Facebook. You see? When we go to the exam room now, the gadgets are hidden everywhere. The phones are all over. Keep the books aside, but the gadgets are fixed in every part of the body. A lecturer or the invigilator is like he or she is in a war zone, waiting to strike, turning around, moving around. By the time you are leaving that class, especially if it is a large class of 100 plus, ni kama umetoka shambani, you just want to go home and rest. So giving that example, what would you say? We can say that technology has done nothing to change education, or else it has ruined it. So some of us, we might be scared of it. It's like a threat. But let us think about it positively now. How it has changed education. Let us remember the time of Corona times. We were somewhere, isn't it? Videos. I was a chair of department then, and I was scared of at the beginning of how to interact with the students, going to the studio and all that. We did so well. But unfortunately, it's like we have gone back to our comfort zone. So how has technology changed education, or how can we embrace it now as researchers, as lecturers, as people who want to improve the society? One, it has expanded access to education. Sindio? Education is everywhere now. We have online, the audios, the e-books. I don't know what will happen to the bookshops in the future, but they will still benefit because of me, because I still believe in reading on my physical book, yeah? We have the e-books, the videos and all that. We have all there, the online and this and PhDs online. So it has made our education easy and cheaper. I may not need to go to India or China, lucky registrar, but you can have that access from a distance. Number two, I want to make sure that then you tell me what I've left behind. Then two, it has opened opportunities for communication and collaboration. So besides the classrooms, the buildings, you find a class, for example, that can learn about a mountain, about a certain environment, by following the expedition of a team of scientists in the region. So you may not need to go to Kefri to take your students there in the lab in the future. You can just have a video of that person who is demonstrating research. You will do research yourselves. I can engage you in future where you can interact with my students. So we just use the videos, the electronics. You show us everything that you're doing. So they can even talk live with the scientists or the lecturers via video conferencing. There are blog postings, there are photos, there are email questions. Nowadays we have the Google Meet, isn't it? Where we meet. we may not be as physical as, even if you are not feeling well. As long as you're able to talk, you can interact with the people. Number 3, it has changed the role of teachers and learners. Alright? So previously, the teacher or the lecturers are the primary source of information. Kuna professors wenye wanasema, lakini hawako hapa. Professor Serem, there are some professors who say, I'm the one who knows. You don't know, keep quiet and listen, because they were the primary source of information, which is true then. But now, the learners, the teachers now, or the lecturers, they are like guide on the side, where the students should do their own. You are just guiding them to make sure that they are doing the right thing. And that's why most of the institutions like us here at Chuka University, we are adjusting our lecture rooms. It's only that resources zinakuja kama maji yenye, the water that is dripping. Yeah? Tap, tap, kidogo, kidogo. But we wish to make sure that all our lecture rooms are well adjusted. Like now we have this one. We can interact with everybody from all over the world. So we are changing the physical areas. Then technology number 4, it can assist in creating instructional materials. We are going towards the competence-based education. So we cannot depend on our old notes. Sometimes our students get tired, they get bored, they look aside, because they already have the notes that my mother taught them with. But now with the current technology or the online, you are able to update those notes every other day. Practical experiences are new every day. Even after here, open the internet, what you opened yesterday, there is an improvement of information. Then number 5, it allows different methods of learning. So there is this thing I came about called augmented reality. Augmented reality, those who are ICTs, they can explain it better, is where you integrate digital information into the user's real-time environment. You see, like the people who are in the gymnasiums, kuna watu wako gymnasiums where they turn like this, they turn into an elephant. Have you ever seen that? Maybe it's me. They do like this, they turn into a snake. So we can use the same, you never know the future. We might be the people who will be demonstrating that here for the students. So if I want them to understand the plants, how they grow, I'll just turn like this and plus the PowerPoint and projection, I turn into a tree, you never know. So we can use something to do with animations. We are using that every day. Educational films, flipped classrooms, let us go there on the flipped classrooms, where students do their reading lessons at home with audiovisual tools. But now in class, they meet with the teachers who facilitate debates, ask questions, and share ideas. Then number 6 is it ensures easy assessment. So badala ya tukae kama like in a war zone, a class of 150 with 10 invigilators na bado tunawezwa, we can integrate this technology. We can integrate the software to gauge, to understand, to improve areas of improvement. More to that, we can include even use of CCTVs. Ndio moja ikiangalia hapa, ingine hapa. So me, I have a question for you. So is it the end? Thank you. So is it the end of the road for textbooks and face-to-face interaction? No. Who do I ask? Show me.
I would say no.
It is not.
Yeah.
It is not, because technology doesn't have to spell out the end of printed books. In fact, it can be used in tandem. So while it might be easier to check information on an electronic device, printed books could still be ideal to teach readings, while physical areas could still be ideal for discussions and expressions. Imagine you are reading my paper and I'm doing like this. Utaniona. I close my eye. Yeah? 3 5, those are the expressions that physically you are able, you can even demonstrate in terms of other, in terms of innovativeness. So therefore, there is need to generate an educational framework that combines the Isn't it? Alright, so in conclusion, it is up to us to make the most of the opportunities provided by technology to change education so that effective and efficient education is available to everyone, everywhere. So education awaits us as early as now. It awaits us. It awaits a world full of innovation, collaboration, and growth. And we must. I feel like the word must. I tell myself I must. Kama ninaamka asubuhi, I must wake up anyway. We must stay ahead in this rapidly changing industry by monitoring emerging trends. And we must adapt our approaches accordingly. So that as our learners are moving, generations change over time. As they move to the next generation, we are also moving with them to the next generation. They will not find us in our comfort zones in a way that we will not be needed anymore. We want to be available and needed as much as the learners will need us in the future. So was it a discussion or a poem? Or a story? So with those few openings, I wish to invite Dr. Edna to continue. It's like a continuation now, but she'll be telling us about the application of AI, and then we are going to have a debate. Is it a panel? A panel of the same. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best as you enjoy your learning, interactions, collaborations. Have a friend before you leave. For those who are single and searching, don't go home the way you came. And those who have not published,
don't worry, when we reach the time of the work formulate this panel and then the question will be you.
Unfortunately, there are some things that AI cannot be able to help us, including what you've seen right now. So my name is Dr. Edna Top from the Department of Computer Science, and I'll be talking about the applications of generative AI. And we cannot talk about generative AI without talking about AI. So we are going to first look at what is AI, and there are basically various fields of artificial intelligence. Actually, generative AI is just a very small subset of what? Artificial intelligence, as we are going to see. So, we look at the overview of generative AI. Well, we look at some of the components or some of the key technologies within artificial intelligence and generative AI, applications of AI, the benefits, the concerns of generative AI, and also generative AI tools that we can leverage in our day-to-day activities. And then thereafter, we'll look at some of the frontiers or the future, or the expected future of AI. So, as I've said, generative AI is just a very small component of AI. So meaning, usually AI is an umbrella. AI is an umbrella of many other fields that exist in this field. So within AI, we have a component which is known as machine learning. So I'm sure you're using machine learning. It's simply one of the components. There are many other components which are not stated here. So machine learning is one of them. Then we have deep learning, which is also another component of machine learning. But deep learning is an important component because generative AI relies on what? Deep learning. There are also other various types of machine learning, but they are not popular with generative AI, or it's not the main technology that drives the generative AI. So artificial intelligence basically is a branch, or can be said to be a branch of computer science that deals with creating systems that are able to reason, just like the way a human being would reason, act, learn, independently or autonomously. But it doesn't have to be fully independently. It can be semi-autonomously, meaning there could be some influence of the human being when they are working with some of these systems. So machine learning, on the other hand, is a subset or a field of artificial intelligence that mainly focuses on learning from data. So meaning the key thing here for adversarial networks, which is also known as GANs. So the work of generative networks has two components, the generator and the discriminator. So the generator basically generates new contents, and the work of the discriminator checks whether that particular content is realistic or not. So something else that works similar to generative AI is variation autoencoders. And again, it does almost the same thing as what the GANs do. They encode and decode data based on whatever users have given it as input. The other technology which really transformed or brought about the generative AI is a concept known as transformers. Transformers is some work which was done by a researcher on a paper called All You Need Is Transformers. And transformers has basically changed everything in the field of generative AI. So GPT is something that most of you are similar know about. So GPT basically is a transformer, and it's called generative pre-trained transformer. And it's more like an engine that enables you to be able to see the content that is created by generative AI based on the prompt that you give. The other transformer which is popular, I'm sure there are others, is a bidirectional encoder representation. Encoder representation, which is popularly known as BAT. So this one is mostly for Google. The Gemini uses BAT, but also other technologies uses BAT. So you can also borrow it because they are pre-trained models, which you can borrow it and use it for your own development of generative AI. If you want to create a generative AI for Kikuyu, you can borrow what? A GPT or a BAT. Another one is the large language models, basically, which is a large language model, which is popularly known as LLM, is also part of the pre-trained model, which is trained on vast amount of textual data. And it enables you to be able to create quality data or human data, which looks more like data that is generated from by human. So meaning, if you want to develop your own generative AI for whichever field that you need, what you need to be aware of are some of these technologies here. But I'm not here to teach more, for you just to be aware what is the technology behind generative AI. So how does generative AI then work? So it's a little bit slow. I think my laptop is more, okay. 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 So generative AI, as we've said, most of artificial intelligence systems work with data. So meaning the first thing that you need as a researcher who wants to develop a generative AI-based system, you first need to do what? Data collection. And this will depend on the kind of system that you want to develop. If you want to create a system that is going to generate images, what kind of data are you going to need? You're going to need what? Images. If you want textual data, what kind of data are you going to need? You're going to need what? Textual data. So meaning, generative AI. Data. The second, after you've collected your data, the next phase is to train your model. So you train your model to learn on what? Based on the data that you've collected. Again, if your data is garbage, you're going to get what? Garbage out. So it will depend on the kind of data that you have. So once, or during training, that's where now the techniques that we've seen, the GANs, the autoencoders, the LLMs, and the BATs are used during when? The training phase, so that you're able to develop a model that can actually mimic the kind of data that is already stored or that you've collected. So now, after you've trained your model, the next thing would be to test whether your model is actually doing what you trained it to do. By giving what? Prompts. And this is what we mostly do as users of what? Prompting the generative AI. So this is the part that you normally do. But there are actually other stages that you don't know about. So that's how generative AI works. So where can you apply generative AI? So there are many application areas, from text generation, content generation. You can write articles, you can write emails, and I'm sure most of us are doing that. And the good thing about this is it gives you information that looks like human or that is generated by human. And even the tone that they use is like one that is generated by human. So they can also be used for language translation. You can translate from your own local language to strokes, which is very hard to be able to read. So what did we need as students to be able to survive there? We needed what? Translators. Translators are able to help us to translate from what? That hard Chinese into a language that you are able to understand. So the other one is the chatbots and the virtual assistants. You can create systems that can be able to help you navigate through some problem, customer care, from that. Text summarization, we are researchers, we need to summarize what others have already done in a particular area. You can also use sentiment analysis, which basically helps you to be able to, more like mining opinions of people on a given, it could be on a given product, on a given person, and the opinion could be positive or negative. So you can do that through generative AI. So it can also be used for image generation, and I like this area because I'm passionate about computer vision, and there are a lot of things that generative AI can be able to see. Can you see this picture here? Can you believe that I generated this from generative AI? It looks realistic, right? Yeah, so it's an image that was generated from generative AI. So generative AI can be able to generate realistic images, which it can be very hard to distinguish whether it is a real image or a what. This one is a fake image. So there are many things that can be done in regards to this. And one of the main, we can call it brain behind this, is a technology known as DAL. So DAL, So DAL is like the GPT, but it's the GPT of what? Imaging. The other one is the video generating. So you can see, these are videos that I generated from my own, you can see it's similar to what I'm presenting, right? So I generated this from my own presentation. So meaning, I didn't have to come here. All I need is to prepare my slides and then create a what? A presentation, and it will give the explanation as well as everything. So I'm going to play it for a few seconds. So I don't know whether it's working, but the voice, can you be able to hear anything? No. But it's right. Let me try it from my laptop.
Unmute. Put the mic. Put the mic.
Presentation will cover and overview of GenAI, its applications, its concerns, and tools, providing a comprehensive understanding of its
Okay, unfortunately the technology cannot allow us to be able to hear it very well, but you can see it's also giving somewhat transcription. So this video is still going on. So meaning you can be able to generate a video or even generate somewhat fake creation. So meaning you can use it to propagate what? Propaganda. So the other application area is voice generation. So it can be able to put your own what? Voice. You can put your own voice and it will look like it's you are still the person doing what? The presentation. So generative AI can create voice. It can also create music, or it can do music generation. And I'm sure there are a lot of controversies in regards to this, because if you create a music using generative AI, who does the copyright belongs to? So those are some of the concerns that are there in regards to generative AI. So the other thing, when I mentioned, or the first thing that I mentioned in regards to how generative AI is that it relies on data. But is data always available? The data may not always be available. So how can generative AI help us as researchers? You can use it to do what? Data augmentation, or you can use it to generate synthetic data. So this is data which I generated for predicting prices of the houses. It's fake data or synthetic data which I generated. All I needed to do was to specify what I wanted from the prompts, and this is just a sample of the kind of data that it's generated for me. So as a researcher, especially in machine learning, this is very helpful. As a teacher, this is very helpful, because when I want to teach my students about data pre-processing, the data that is already available are data that are already pre-processed. So I can generate realistic, some data which looks realistic, and then I can use that to teach. You can also use that to be able to build models which can, for generative AI. So it can also be used for anomaly detections, to detect probably those areas which are affected by some various aspects, for instance, the cancers, some of the regions that are affected by the cancer. So given, if you already have the data, it can be leverage to be able to help you do some of those tasks which we've mentioned. So the popular ones, which you already know, or which most of us know, are what? Chat, GPT, and what? Gemini. But there are also others in different regions, which or in different fields, which are able to generate for us music, voice, image, and even coding. As computer scientists, we don't have to struggle anymore with the coding. You can just go and it will give it a prompt, and it will generate for you code that you want. So how can you use it as educators? I know most of us are educators and most of us are scholars. If you're in this conference, it means we are scholars. So how can we use generative AI? So it can help us to be able to do the teaching, as you've seen from the video that I've given there. So meaning I don't have to be present in class. Now I'm doing the presentation here. Who is taking care of my students? Yeah, so that is a question that we need to ask ourselves. So can we leverage on AI to be able to help us do some of the tasks? It can also help us to generate course and content, lesson plans, questions, and all that. Anything in regarding teaching. So let's look at some of the tools, but before we look at some of the tools, an important component of generative AI is prompt engineering. Okay, noted. So prompt engineering is basically an effective way in which you can be able to prompt so that you can be able to get the desired output that you want. It's always important to understand how generative AI, because it will help you to determine how you're going to do the prompting. And it's based on the prompt that you're going to get what? Either accurate or inaccurate information. So there is an area which is known as prompt engineering. You can read about that. So I'll move straight away to some of the tools that you can be able to leverage for literature, search. You can use Rabbit, connected papers, Elicit, SI Space. For writing assistant, you don't have to struggle with reading manually. You can just use ChatGPT to help you with English and all that, Gemini, Cloud. All these are some of the generative AI tools. And the technology behind these are the transformers, which are what? The GPT and the BAT. So most of them use that. Then the other ones which are used for grammar and paraphrasing are Paperpal, Quillbot, Grammarly. For citations, we have Zotero, Mendeley, Jabref, etc. And there are many others. So these are some of the examples that I just looked at. So having generated the content, we now have systems that are able to detect what? Generative AI, content that are generated by what? Generative AI. So meaning they are detection tools. Some of them are writer, Turnitin, etc. GPT-0. So I tried to use GPT-0 on a content that I generated from generative AI. And it was able to detect that it's actually generated by what? ChatGPT by what? 56.56%. So as a researcher, do you stop there? No. So meaning researchers have gone ahead and tried to do what? Create humanizers. So from 56%, you can reduce it to what? Some acceptable range without having to struggle. So there are a number of humanizers. I tried one, and we are going to see. These are the humanizers. We have the Humboldt, we have the Write-Sonic, Humanized AI, and there are many others that are available in the market. So I went and used Humanize AI, and I humanized my content, the one that was detected 56 point what? Something percent. And I came back to what? And I came back to GPT-0. And you can see from 56, it was reduced to what? 19%. So there are video generators. So I generated some of the videos from this Synthesia video, and there are many others that exist. Code generators for those of us who are in programming, or even, I'm sure most of us leverage codes or do some programming. So there are a number of tools that you can use for programming. There is the Copilot, there is the GitHub, which have got some elements of generative AI. So what are the benefits? So the benefits is you can create your content very fast. You can do data augmentation, as you've seen from the previous slides. You can also do personalized solutions, and also helps to foster creativity. So what are some of the limitations then? So as a researcher in this field, one of the major things that we experience is data. Generative AI requires large amount of data. So for it to be able to generate the Maasai images that you've seen, it means that you must have collected a lot of what? Images. You must have collected a lot of images. So it means what? It needs a lot of training data, which may not always be available. So it's one of the challenges that we have. The other one is it requires massive computing resources. For it to be able to train large amount of data. It will not just work on your normal machine that you use. So you use a GPU or TPUs. Privacy is also another concern that we have, and also hallucinations. I'm sure you've tried, if you're doing research, you've tried to tell ChatGPT to give you the research materials that you might need. And once you look for those reference materials, they are usually not there. So what is ChatGPT doing? Hallucinating. Yes, it is hallucinating. So there are ethical and societal concerns in regards to generative AI. Some of them is spread of misinformation. You've seen from what? The deep fakes. We have also the plagiarism. We generate just content from who owns the content. So it's an issue. And then there is also that aspect of hallucination, which we mentioned. And another important thing is about the bias. There is an image which I generated here, which I'm going to show you. So this is an image, and the prompts were like this. So the prompt was, I want an image that showing a picture for the future of what? Generative AI. So that prompt gave me that particular image. But I just made a very small adjustment to my prompt and say, in Kenya. This is the future of AI, generative AI in Kenya. So what does that mean? It's generating what? Biased information or biased So what is the future of AI? So Professor Gidai was telling us some of the future of AI. One is augmented reality, virtual reality, accessible learning environments, especially for the disabled or those who are abled differently. They can leverage on artificial generative AI to be able to help them work just like the normal people. Ethical and responsible use of AI. This is about augmented reality, so you can use that. And I believe the forum that we're going to have right now will be talking about the future. So the future could leverage on augmented reality, virtual reality, especially for doing experiments, surgeries, and engineering tasks that could be risk or could not be possible in a real-world environment. And in some cases, it might also be very expensive. Accessible learning environment, especially for the disabled, you can use virtual reality, augmented reality to be able to help these children or people with disabilities, and that will create an inclusive environment for everyone. The other one is the future of AI is in artificial intelligence and also IoT. So we can be able to create smart campuses, do smart management within the institution, which can enable us to be able to manage our services, whether energy, security, or personalized student services for our institution. The future of AI is also, or one of the things that we need to do, or we need to really think about, is ethical and responsible use of AI. So thank you. That was my presentation.
Thank you. And I want to take this time to welcome the team, the panel, and you're part of it, Kadri. So she will proceed with the other team. That is Professor Joel Gishombe. Can you come here? Dr. David Gitonga Mwathi, Dr. Ednato, you're already here. We have Saif Kinyori and Nancy Njoki, and in addition, we have Professor Gedai. Kindly come over. I will have to vacate this place as quickly so that you can get space. Yeah. And I would want to, in this space, invite Gishombe to moderate. Yeah. Thank you, Prof. Oh, the podium down. Oh. Hey. Thank you so much. I think my work has been done by Dr. Edna, because you saw how the AI is thinking about us as Kenyans. You see that's a problem. When they tell us about Kenyans,
is just mad hats, eh? But when it's thinking about Europe, big buildings, do you agree with that? So then what could be the problem? That is making AI, when you think about yourself, they think you are still living in a mad hat on top of a tree. So what do you think would be the problem? I think we'll start with there. What do you think the problem is, Sif? That when AI is thinking about us, we are still living on top of a tree. Sorry. What do you think? I want to talk about data. What kind of data is the AI have about Kenya?
Yes, thank you, Prof. Well, this one is, we can attribute it to most of these advancements, the ones that we're using. GPT is from OpenAI. This is a US-based company. So most of these researchers and most of this data they're using to train is mostly from out there. So we don't have a lot of researchers, which is actually what we need to engage in. What we need to do more is have more researchers in Kenya, or even Africa as a whole. We cannot even attribute today and say we have our own open or large language model that we are using. We're using Anthropic from the US, we're using OpenAI, we're using Google Bar, we're using everything, we're using this from outside. So we do not have our own data or our own platforms that we train our own models. So we are left behind. So I think it is time that African researchers get into this, not only computer science.
Yes.
Every other field, we need to work together and get our own models out there. Then we are going to eliminate a lot of this.
Thank you so much. So we are talking about models. I'll need somebody here to assist me with the handing of the mic so that we don't take a long time. Yeah. So he talked about the fact that AI doesn't have data from Africa. You are the head of computer science. What are you doing about it to make sure that the data from Africa does not give those kind of? So you agree with me? Yeah. So what is he doing as Chuka? What's the contribution that you are making to make sure that we have the good houses like the one we are seeing here, not those mad hats? Dr. Mwani.
So thank you very much. Just like Saifa said, data is the problem. AI models require huge amounts of data and varied data that is representative of various scenarios. So what we need to do, because that is the question, is we need to engage in more research in this area so that we're able to collect data that has a local context. The other day there's a project we were running on detection of tuberculosis and using the X-ray images. And we had a lot of data from the open data sets that are available out there. Yes. But when it came to the local data, we had a few challenges, but we had to collect data now from our local hospitals. Some of them, and they will take us round and round, citing some of these privacy concerns, but we were able to generate some basic data. And by the end of the day, we were able to actually validate the data from the open data sets using the local data that we have, but we could see disparities. So this is still an area that needs more research. We have data set, but we can't even publish it at the moment because we wanted over 10,000 images, but I think we collected about 1,000 images. So there is that challenge, but the most important thing is as we develop these models, we ensure that we have data that is varied and representative of all scenarios.
Thank you. Now, you can give the mic to Professor, the DBC. Now, what is Chuka University? We talked about the training, the data. So what Chuka University doing in terms of promoting AI? And also to ask the general education sector, what can the education sector do to encourage AI before I ask the other question?
Thank you, Professor. I think one evidence is what we are doing today. The panelists that are here to discuss issues to do with the AI and how we can integrate that in the future. We have also empowered our staff, hoping that in future we'll have a center of AI. We are starting small, but in future we hope it will be dependent. We will be depending on it in our research. Another thing, we are encouraging research collaborations, because most of the calling for funds, they require networks, they require funding at an institution level. So we are encouraging teams, research teams, to come together and even international, ensure that we have international collaborations so they come together and apply for those funds. That's what I would say.
Thank you. You can give it to Edna. There are a lot of people here who are afraid of technology. I know Prof is not afraid of technology, but there is a generation of researchers who, when they see a computer, they don't like it. When you tell them about ChatGPT, they think you are cheating. So what exactly would you encourage? Because we cannot be left behind. How do we ensure that this research project is from AI or it's human generated? How do you address that?
Okay. So I think one of the, probably the computer science algorithm that you can apply here is an algorithm known as ostrich algorithm. And in ostrich algorithm, you assume that there is no problem. So you can bury your head in the sand and assume that generative AI is not there. But if you do that, it means that you're going to be left behind, or you're going to be replaced by those who've adapted to what? Technology. Yeah. So generative AI, or generally AI, because I'm saying generative AI is just a component. So artificial intelligence, if you're not going to adapt to it, it's going to replace us. But if we adapt to it, do research in different areas, it might not replace us as much. But if we don't adapt with the change in terms of technology as a teacher, are you going to be teaching techno-savvy students using your, they are called what? Yellow pages. And they can be able to get even updated information more than your yellow pages. Yes.
You can give it to the student here. Now, she mentioned something very big about being replaced. That means there are fewer jobs if you don't adapt to AI. So how can you address that so that the students, not just the lecturers, the student can also embrace this AI and able to have those particular AI skills to help them even in the future?
Thank you so much, Prof. So AI is here with us, and it will not replace us. All we need is just to reskill and upskill and use it as an assistant tool in our creations and the researches that we have. But we must be very vigilant because it gives misinformation, so you must be specific on what you want, and then you can refine on what you're researching on.
Thank you. You can give it to Steve. So we are talking about research and innovations. Well, just a minute, we'll come to the time for questions. What do you think that, because here we are researchers, we agree we are all researchers. So how can you use this Gen AI tool to make your research better and make it even more international than just the research that you do your thesis and it be kept in the library without any particular impact?
Thank you, Prof. With that, allow me to give just a small, like a story. So, just recently, there's a researcher it's called Anderson in AI. Created in the general family of AI, there's something we call agents. So he created agents. These agents, they talk to each other. They're like people, but they're like software. In generative AI, they talk to each other. He wanted to see, in terms of research, if you let this software talk to each other, what could happen? Then, in their discussion, they discussed like human beings, although in terms of in the computing space, they came up with an idea of creating a Bitcoin, almost like a Bitcoin. It's called Gaussian Maximus. And then Anderson created a Twitter account, and he wanted to see what could be the effect of all this. And this generative AI that was created, agents, started tweeting on Twitter, generated content, started tweeting. And people got excited. It's called Truth Twitter. It started tweeting, getting all misinformation, doing research on its own, and is also managing it in an environment. And now, as we speak, as of last year, we have now the possible first AI millionaire, not a human being, but a software. That's an agent. That's a millionaire. Because the value of this Gods's Maximus coin rose to more than $270 million. And out of that, this agent, its stake was about $700,000. So it's almost like a millionaire. And it's an agent, it's not a human being. So you see, the space of research, as a researcher, you cannot say you're leaving it behind. If someone sat somewhere and said, let me see what this AI can do, and is able to generate money, why are you left behind? Why don't you take that opportunity?
Oh, you see, it's mentioning about money and AI. So, and I know Africans, when we hear about money, we get excited. Give it to Dr. Ali. Now, what about infrastructure? We have the required infrastructure. Before I also ask that to the DBC. What do you think? Can you comment on the infrastructure in Chuka, particularly or in the general African scenario, that maybe limits the growth of AI and or developing that particular data set? You're welcome.
Thank you. Before I talk about infrastructure, I can also add a little bit about the impact that we can have. Currently, the models that are available, the ChatGPTs and the others, are built based on English language. But locally, we can go ahead and develop generative AI applications that are relevant in our context. For example, models that can understand a Kenyan language, Kiswahili, and then also generate Kiswahili content, or even Kikuyu, Kalenjin, Kimeru, so that where the application of these models can be, for example, to the farmer, to the local farmer out there, who would want to get information, some information on extension services, can interact with such an application in their mother tongue, and then be able to get some relevant information that can help them improve on farming techniques, and so that you get better outcomes. So if we can engage in local research that creates local solutions, this would be something that would be worth venturing into as the impact. Going to the infrastructure, like Dr. Edna presented there, training AI models require a lot of computation power. It requires the likes of the GPUs, that is the graphics processing units, and the tensor flow processing units, which are not locally available. We have students who are actually doing this research in our department, but we end up buying this computing power from the Google Cloud, AWS, and other platforms. So going forward, if the government, because in Kenya we have not heard of this technology. I overheard somewhere that we have a GPU in Kenya, but it's not known who is going to use it. And we don't know where it is also. But we are told it is there. But for the research we are doing, all of us are relying on these cloud-based services from external providers. So collaborations can help in this case with such international bodies or organizations. You can also collaborate with other universities outside, as well as also local partners for funding, so that you can have such people like you want, because that still becomes a big challenge.
Thank you. I want you to give it to Edna first, because we're having staff here and students, and we talked about collaboration, the IBM collaboration, because I'm a beneficiary of the Gen AI course on IBM. You can talk to the people and tell them about it, that it's free and they can be able to do it.
Okay. So maybe before I talk about IBM, in regards to infrastructure, and I know Professor is listening, and since you're very passionate about artificial intelligence, and one of the issues that we have, or as a researcher that I have, when I want to train my model using the AWS and the GPUs that are available through the cloud services, it means I have to upload my data. So now what will happen to my data, which is what? Private data. So that brings about some other issues. But I think as an institution, I believe we are big enough to even afford one GPU, which we can be able to share them amongst the researchers that are available there. So in regards to IBM, there are a number of the industry that are supporting not only generative AI, but AI, and there are a number of skills or tools that they are using or they are providing actually for free, including the cloud services which you can use for computing. So if you want to create a generative AI model for your own language, you can actually leverage on the IBM the IBM computing resources that is provided by the IBM. And it's not only IBM that is providing, we also have Intel, which are providing, I think it's providing the resources or the skills, but for now they are not providing the computing resources for free, but I think IBM is doing that, providing computing resources. And I believe Microsoft also are doing that, and Google are also doing that. So it is up to us. So it also means that as researchers, we are not leveraging on some of these freely available skills, services, and even computing resources. Yes.
Thank you. I'm being reminded that we don't have time, but I want us to address the issue of privacy. So we saw that you can generate Gichumbi, even the voice. And you see this is what Gichumbi said. And Gichumbi was not there. Sif, maybe you can all let's have the ready addressing that. So how can we be careful that the VC of Chuka University is not put in a video, and then you say that was Professor Mutebe and it was not Professor Mutebe? How should we be careful about that? I know it's very interesting, Sidio, but the only problem is time. We want to give a few questions, but I was you can address the issue of privacy. Maybe even both doctors can say something before I open the floor to questions.
So I'll mention on regulations. We need to come up with clear regulations that, and especially enact the Data Act 2019 that talks of the data privacy, the GDPR's principles. It will allow us to own and privatize what is put on AI.
Thank you. Can we clap for them? We know we don't have a lot of time, so we are opening up to questions, and he had his hand fast. Can we have the mic, so that... so I think I only invite, those are 1, 2, 3. Professor, oh yeah, I have counted you. So only 4 questions, kindly, because of time. Start with Prof.
Thank you very much. To me, an important question to everybody assembled here, because Chuka is a teaching institution. My understanding is that the whole paradigm of teaching needs to change. One of the things that was addressed was finding something to humanize AI output. Humanize for what purpose? A student goes to ChatGPT, gets a whole report written, and then goes to humanize it so that it can be turned in as plagiarized. No. So I'm wondering if Chuka University is approaching the fact that given this technical capability, how is the whole profession of teaching and learning adjusting to that, to make the most use of the technology and to make the students that we have under our care turn out to be the best human beings, the most knowledgeable, the most skillful, the most dexterous human beings, to be able to use the learning that they have together with the assistance of artificial intelligence to do that. A very important question. How can teaching itself and learning itself adjust to this new technology? And the second issue is the mention of large amounts of data being needed. over time even more. But what's turning out to be something like computer inbreeding, basically. A lot of the data that's being turned out is artificial intelligence generated itself. So artificial intelligence is taking its own data and
Thank you, because of time. Thank you. I think the first one Professor can address. The second one will be Dr. Mwani. Oh, well then it's okay. So I hope the panelists are noting the questions. Yes, please.
I have the mic.
Oh, you have, because he's a visitor, let him go first. It's African, eh? Professor Gwata.
This looks very interesting. I want to pick it up from where Professor left. What kind of skills does a lecturer in literature require to be competent enough to migrate through this very interesting space, so that his or her students don't love at him or her for lack of understanding these things? That's number one. But my biggest worry is the prospect of making us being robotic-like. I mean, not thinking properly, because computer science, like you, Edna, are doing these things for us, as we are just consumers and users, without understanding what GPT is and all that kind of stuff, you know? How do we avoid being lazy because everything has been worked by somebody, and what we need to do is just to tap, and everything is available for us? Then thirdly is data protection and privacy. I am a Kenyan, and being Kenyan, and Kenya is our business, it is very interesting that somebody can create me and pretend that it's me doing several things and secure them in a viral way. And once everything has gone out, people don't care whether it is true or not. It has gone out, and the purpose and objective has been achieved.
Thank you, Prof. Kindly one question, because we have too many.
Of course, I'm a very quick professor. One thing I want them to answer is human resource. Because in this area, machine learning is an interface between statistics and computing. I want you to think about introducing NEC in data science, data analytics, and all these things, because this is where we are going. I don't know how you call it, even if it's there, because I want you to work very closely with the guys from statistics, please, and see what we can do. Thank you so much.
Dr. the last question, kindly.
Thank you very much. I'll be very fast. Number one, I wish to know from Dr. Mwadi, how has our curriculum in computer science integrated AI, what you have told us? If yes, is it also possible to have a different curriculum, BSc in AI and robotic? I've seen other universities starting that. I'm in business, so when I look at it, I look at it in terms of how can we leverage to increase our student population. Number two, and the last one, how can the university leverage on AI to manage big data, especially use of face recognition in managing student data? Thank you.
I think, thank you for the questions. I know there are so many. Kindly, please. You feel yours is very...
The VC had a question.
Oh, the VC also, sorry. Give it. But we will still give the VC an opportunity, kindly. So can we ask just a simple question? So we will share, but the ones for Dr. Mwadi should be prepared.
Okay, thank you. Mine is it's not a question, it's also contributing to the topic. I'm in communication, and AI has really leveraged in communication. But one of the challenges we are facing is the lack of the local content, as most of you have been talking about. We need to have a way where our universities, the local universities, develop Kenyan content. The reason we are seeing those buildings It's because we are not developing content from our side. And for a fact, do you know that even in ChatGPT, the people who made it more human are Kenyan youth. They were being paid around $2 per hour by a company known as Sama to reduce the level of violence, the level of aggression. Because if you search in ChatGPT how to kill someone, it will not respond because it has been trained not to tell you how to kill someone. The people who did that work were Kenyan youth, being paid around $2 per hour to around $10 per hour. But you see, for our universities, there is one gap. We need to have our own GPTs. Chuka University should have its own GPT on research. I'm in communication, and one of the things we find, even though an image is AI generated, if you look at the fingers, you realize maybe there are 6, there are 7. Though it has assisted us, because one of the challenges we used to face is, we use your photo maybe in a banner or something, you sue us. But you see, for AI, you cannot take anyone to court because it's free. So I would just like to urge the stakeholders, especially for our researchers and the institution. This is an area you should spend your last coin on, because the future is in AI. If we are not in AI, we will be left behind.
Agreed. Because of time, the mic can go to the PC, please.
I think he has come out, and I think
we should not close these youngsters from these comments. They are the ones who are using it here anyway. Even working for Americans, they are the ones who are using it. The earlier that department of yours actually created workshops or hackathons, whatever you call them, for this to develop that Chuka GPT. It is where the data will come from. They are the ones who are even earning the $2. They will show you how they have been doing it. So I think mine was one. What efforts is the department doing to utilize those minds? That was the first one. Second one, what is the cost of this GPU you want us to have? That's a very relevant question, isn't it? And then the third one, what facilities do you require? You have not submitted to us. But then let us look at it from, I wanted to comment actually after the answers, and I don't want to enter into it. Dr. Chege has brought in the issue of leveraging now on this technology for our own advantage. That is a solution. It is the department that will come out with that solution. Once you convince the council that it will be sustainable and it is driving Chuka in the right direction, money will follow your idea. So, I would like, Edna, I think I always interact with you. The driver is not me, it is you, isn't it? Drive us to a point where tomorrow we'll be seeing we took advantage of the generative AI, then we took Chuka to a different level from the others. And that is what this youngster is saying. The earlier you sit together with your students, sometimes throw some questions, whether you are teaching or what, throw some challenge to youngsters, and you'll see wonders. That is what I would like to hear from you. But my chairman here, the chairman of the council, he has even shown me in his phone, he has ChatGPT himself. He has downloaded, he has that. You know, he was in the US the other day. So they told you how to use that. But what I have final, because me, I'm a reproduction technologist who can actually clone a human being. That is my scientific, I am a scientist in that field. But the question we asked ourselves, how do you then prevent a scientist to clone himself and propagate himself and make sure the world only has Motembei? Because that's ethical, isn't it? Look at the ethical issue of generative AI. From our side, we had to sit together, came up with the regulations that actually anybody who is engaged in this must go through that course of ethical use of reproductive technologies. It had to take people to be taken to jail in US. You're a doctor, a couple comes to you, they are unable to get a baby, then you use yourself to give them a baby. And then one time, somebody said, oh, my children looks like this doctor. Until now, all of them were brought into a courtroom. And actually, they were duplicates of the doctor. Which is an ethical way of using the productive. So what are you doing from where you are seated? You go to platforms, we support you. What are you doing to ensure those humanization is not actually, you know that theory is